Namaste, you're on the Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narsiman and it's Bihar all the way, ladies and gentlemen. And he's done it again. It's the 5th time he's divorced his partner. That's what they're saying. And he has lived up to what his current partner now, with whom he's just stitched an alliance, always called him as somebody who did paltu politics or somebody who always changed tack. 2013 he did this, 2017 he did it, and now 2022 he's done it again. That is Nitish Kumar. There is huge amount of drama as just now he's been elected as leader of the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar. He's walked out of the NDA, walked into the Mahagathbandhan, and then they are just walking up to the governor, Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav, who are going to now walk perhaps to the governor's office to try and stake claim collectively together to show and present a letter of support of nearly 160 MLAs in the Bihar Vidhan Sabha and say we've got overwhelming numbers, we are here to stake claim and we are here to form the government. Nitish Chief Minister, Tejasvi Yadav Deputy Chief Minister, unless there is a twist in the entire story. But it is surprising that contrary to 2013, this time around Nitish Kumar has actually stepped down. He's resigned as Chief Minister, and that set the rumor mills aflutter, saying why is he resigning this time around? He didn't resign in 2013. He just sacked the BJP members of his cabinet and went to the governor with letter of support and then changed. So the CM remained, just the government had changed back in 2013. But this time around, he's also resigned as Chief Minister and then formally joined the Mahagathbandhan. So it's an alliance where he's also entered into the fold along with the RJD and the HAM, which is also broken away from the NDA and said we are going to follow Nitish into the Mahagathbandhan. So a strength of 160 MLAs, that's the story at this point. What is Nitish Kumar's game? What's the larger game plan? That's the bigger question. The BJP has come out and said he has once again contradicted himself, and then it's a huge round of whataboutery that's also happening at this. What about this and what about that? Let's listen into some of the reactions that have come in so far. 4:15 p.m. he submitted a resignation after and said that formally announced that he's breaking away from the NDA. A lot of reactions have come through. Let's listen in before we go to our reporters on ground.
लोकसभा राज्यसभा के सांसद और सारे विधायक और विधान पार्षद और पार्टी के नेता, सारी मीटिंग आज हुई और सब लोगों की इच्छा यही हुई है कि हम लोगों को एनडीए छोड़ देना चाहिए। तो जैसे ही एनडीए छोड़ने का निर्णय सब लोगों की थी तो हमने उसी को स्वीकार कर लिया और आकर के यहाँ जो एनडीए की सरकार में हम मुख्यमंत्री थे, हमने मुख्यमंत्री पद से इस्तीफा सौंप दिया।
He'll be going towards Mahagathbandhan because he knows that there's no vacancy for the Prime Minister candidate in NDA. And he would want to be presented as the Prime Minister candidate from the opposition side in 2024. So it's because of this particular aim and ambition of my Chief Minister is the reason why the whole development took place.
People are saying that you are very happy with the kind of development because it has opened your ways towards NDA and towards BJP.
Of course not. The people of my state elected Chief Minister to work for them, to work for the state, not to work for himself. Today, when the people of my state needs a government, needs a Chief Minister to be working for him, my state is dealing with drought, my state is dealing with, of course, needless to say, berozgari, mehengai, and all these issues. Today, when we need a government, my Chief Minister is going to resign, and he's all concerned about forming another alliance, forming another government. That is his priority and not my state. So definitely, I'm not happy with what has...
And Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav will be heading towards the Raj Bhavan. Maria Shakil is on ground. We are given to understand they are en route. So are they walking up to the Raj Bhavan? Maria?
No, Anand, so the barricading has been put. That will be the entrance to Raj Bhavan. And that is where Nitish and Tejasvi will be heading to meet the governor. They are carrying a letter of support of 160 MLAs. So, and Tejasvi will be communicating to the governor that Nitish Kumar has been chosen as the head of the new Mahagathbandhan, which has, of course, RJD, Congress, JDU and other parties, including the left parties, which were part of the Mahagathbandhan of Tejasvi in 2020. So in perhaps few minutes, we can see that cavalcade of Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi enter that gate, and they will be exiting there, and perhaps we can expect some kind of a joint PC. So far we have only heard in bits and pieces from both the sides, both Tejasvi and Nitish Kumar. First soundbite came from Nitish Kumar here after he tendered his resignation and said that he has walked out of alliance with the of the NDA. He has walked out of alliance with the BJP, and then he went straight to Rabri Devi's residence, which is 6 Circular Road, and then we saw how events played out. But again, as we have been saying,
there is some
Anand,
movement
we are
behind you,
looking
because
at
Saurabh is saying that there is an alert that's reached the Raj Bhavan that Nitish Kumar is en route. He's en route to come across to you towards the Raj Bhavan any moment now. So we will stay with you and the pictures, but we are also joined by Siddhant, who is right outside Rabri Devi's residence. Who all are there inside? Is Tejasvi Yadav still there, or has he left with Nitish, and is he with Nitish Kumar as they head towards Raj Bhavan, Siddhant?
Well, no, Anand, Tejasvi has already left along with Nitish Kumar to CM's residence, and they are going together to the Raj Bhavan. Right now, I'm reporting from Rabri Devi's residence. The Karyakartas have gathered here. Some are confused with this decision of Nitish and Tejasvi coming together again. Some are very happy. They are celebrating. In fact, we can expect fireworks also. But for now, Anand, the update is that letter signed by 160 MLAs will be submitted to the governor. This letter is a letter of support, and in fact, since morning at Rabri Devi's residence, the Congress MLAs, left party MLAs and the RJD MLAs have signed this letter, and it was being prepared all day throughout. Now this letter has been given to Nitish Kumar, and Tejasvi Yadav along with Nitish Kumar both are going to Raj Bhavan, along with the other senior leaders of JDU, RJD and Congress, which includes Lalan Singh, which includes the state president of RJD and the Congress state president. So all are going to Raj Bhavan. They will be handing over this letter to the governor to form the government. This letter is a letter of support. So now it is up to
Siddhant, now we got another update as he was inducted, and he was made the leader of the Mahagathbandhan. He has said पहले से और अधिक सशक्त और मजबूत हो गया महागठबंधन, सभी को बधाई. This is what Nitish Kumar has said. This is his quote that Saurabh is also sharing with us. Saurabh, you are at the BJP office right now, but the story is not at the BJP headquarters in Patna, but the story is what Nitish Kumar has now done. Is it going to help the JDU? Is it going to help him? Or is it going to now firmly plonk Tejasvi Yadav as the strongest face and the strongest leader of Bihar? That's the bigger question that comes to mind, because will there be any currency for Nitish Kumar, who's been branded Paltu by Tejasvi himself? Any currency in national politics? That's a larger question. That's another question. But right now it is Tejasvi who's emerging the strongest, because he's the leader of the single largest party, and he will wield the clout despite being projected as a deputy to Nitish Kumar. But Nitish Kumar saying पहले से भी ज़्यादा सशक्त हो गया, and forget what happened in 2017. Will it be so easily forgotten? Quick word, Saurabh, before we go across to Maria at Raj Bhavan. Yeah. Well, we'll try and connect with Saurabh in just a bit. Nitish, sabke hain. These kind of posters have appeared outside the JDU headquarters as Nitish Kumar has formed an alliance with the RJD. Nitish, sabke hain. Now, sabke Nitish, that means he belongs or he works for everybody, he's with everybody, or that he can join anybody. Naria, tongue-in-cheek posters that are coming there, depending upon which side of the fence you're sitting on, and you would interpret it. But Nitish Kumar, what's behind this move? And did it surprise many when he actually resigned this time around? In 2013, he hadn't resigned.
Yes, that's right. In 2013, he resigned, Anand, and he made Jitan Ram Manjhi then as the Chief Minister of Bihar. So that was more of an act of renunciation by Nitish Kumar, and then he started working for 2014, and then we know what happened in 2014 Lok Sabha polls. And having faced that setback in 2015, he forged that alliance with Lalu Yadav, and then they swept the state of Bihar. But that message that Nitish sabke hain is actually clear now that it was in the making for quite some time. Look, Anand, it was not just a coincidence that the legislature party meeting of the RJD and the JDU was happening at the same time. And that 6 Circular Road, which is the official residence of Tejasvi, and Nitish Kumar's 1 Anne Marg was buzzing at the same time. So this was in the works for quite some time. And the fact is that Nitish Kumar spoke to Sonia Gandhi, and that is the reason why Sonia Gandhi had sent Bhakt Charan Das to ensure that the Congress flock is together. That was also the primary concern. What if the Congress breaks? Because the Congress, we have seen, as far as and other states are concerned, the Congress has been a spoiled sport in many ways. It was more of a sweet revenge for the Congress party. What has Nitish managed in this is the larger question. What does it mean for Nitish Kumar himself as far as his politics in the state of Bihar and the larger national politics is concerned? This is Nitish Kumar's attempt at political relevance. He has been trying to really come up with a formula in which he will emerge as a player again in national politics, and which clearly looks like that this would mean that Nitish Kumar will be talked about in the opposition space. But in the opposition space, when we look at Tejasvi Yadav with 114 MLAs signature that he is carrying, and he will be leaving Circular Road any moment,
said that he is the big brother in this alliance. So the big brother, small brother, yes, Nitish Kumar may be the face of the alliance. He has been, chosen as the face of the Mahagathbandhan. But because of the numerical strength, Tejasvi Yadav is the big brother because of the numbers that he commands. Having said that, when we look at multiple players, we keep talking about what has Nitish Kumar, stood for as far as his politics is concerned. Nitish Kumar today stands for only one politics, which is the politics of U-turn. His politics has been about multiple U-turns and conveniences and opportunism, and every time he makes a switch, he is somehow able to convince the voters in some way that it is justified because there is some kind of conspiracy. The other time when he walked out of alliance with the RJD in 2017, he said he wanted to protect himself from the taint of RJD. So these are explanations that Nitish Kumar has to give. Whether he will be doing a press conference at all, because all these questions will be asked to Nitish as to what made him switch. And if indeed he is saying that there was a larger conspiracy that Lalan Singh spoke about 2 days ago, then why didn't he bring those evidence of conspiracy in the public domain? If there is conspiracy to break his party, which he has communicated to his party MLAs also, then what is the evidence that he has that the BJP was trying to break JDU, and what is the real evidence in terms of the BJP?
There is also this whether or not he will actually get any currency as a national prime ministerial face, given his track record with what he has done with his own party and where he stands in terms of relevance in Bihar today. Is the leader of the number 3 party. He may be chief minister, but he's leader of the number 3 party there behind RJD and the BJP. Mangal Pandey of the BJP is responding. Let's listen in.
का जो चुनाव हुआ उसमें बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था वह एनडीए को दिया था, नरेंद्र मोदी जी को दिया था, और उस चुनाव में सबसे बड़ा दल होने के बावजूद भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी को अपने वायदे के अनुरूप उन्हें मुख्यमंत्री बनाया और उन्हें मुख्यमंत्री की कुर्सी पे सुशोभित किया। जिस लालू राज के खिलाफ हम सब लोग लड़के आए थे, आज फिर वहीं वापस लौट गए। यह एक बड़ा प्रश्न बिहार की जनता के सामने है। माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी संपूर्ण जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ लड़ते रहे और आज फिर कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए। यह कतई उचित नहीं है। बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था 2020 में उस
Now we've got another update. We've got the flight manifest and also the pictures of the leaders who are actually traveling from New Delhi towards Bihar, towards Patna. There is Ravi Shankar Prasad and Sushil Modi in the picture. There are other leaders too. We are given to understand Radha Mohan Singh is also part of this group, which is heading to try and address and manage the current situation in Bihar at this point. What are they being mandated? Why are they flying in at this point? Let's ask Maria Shakil as we stay with this picture. So BJP netas that are heading to Patna at this point, Maria, Ravi Shankar Prasad in conversation with Sushil Modi there. Sushil Modi knows Nitish Kumar very, very well, but he was sidelined given the fact that he was not doing the BJP's work. He was actually helping more the JDU more. That was what the internal talk was when he was replaced or he was moved away and looked, they looked beyond Sushil Modi and they moved towards Tarakishore. But in this case, what is their role going to be? Is it to ensure that the BJP stays intact, or is it to woo certain MLAs of the JDU and further weaken Nitish's position?
Plus MLA letter that Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav are carrying at present, I think it would be tough to really think that this alliance would break anytime soon. But the BJP, which has so far been sitting on the sidelines and waiting and watching for Nitish Kumar to make his move, will actually send this message that it is Nitish Kumar who betrayed this mandate of people of 2020. That if in 2020 the elections were fought with BJP, JDU jointly, so the cavalcade has started moving. Let's start showing the visuals here. Everybody, if you can just pan to show, that is the entire stretch from where Tejasvi will be coming. So the cavalcade of Tejasvi started moving. So having said that, I think when we look at BJP's next move, we will be seeing an aggressive BJP this time around, Anand, because they are the second party in terms of the numbers. So they have the strength. BJP will go all out now to expand its footprint. So far, they had reiterated time and again that Nitish Kumar is the face of the alliance. So despite the animosity, the BJP always maintains that, let him be the face of the alliance. We will be careful in ensuring that the footprints are limited as well. BJP now will be going all out to ensure that they will be, questioning the government on all fronts. We saw that play out also perhaps by the Speaker of Bihar Assembly, which has been one of the points of defenses where Vijay Kumar Sinha was being reported, repeatedly questioning Nitish Kumar. So it was almost like a spat that played out between Nitish and Mr. Sinha on the floor of Bihar Assembly multiple times. So that has been one of the points of disagreement, bone of contention, if you may say. But this will be a new BJP now, which will find a new face, and then they go all out in questioning Nitish Kumar and Arjun.
Well, absolutely. Siddhant has just shared pictures of Nitish addressing leaders of the Mahagathbandhan inside that meeting. We've got pictures of that. We will try and put that out in just a bit. This is where he's turned around and said, forget what I said in 2017, forget the occurrences of 2017. This is the picture of Tejasvi Yadav sitting there, even as Nitish is standing and addressing all the leaders who are present inside that meeting. So two pictures that we've had access to from inside the meeting. But Maria, even as we are putting out this picture and the quote where he said that forget what we have said, whatever I said back in 2017, there is some words of Nitish Kumar which are doing the rounds, that when he exited the Mahagathbandhan and quit with the Rajat, he had said, standing up, saying, किसी भी सूरत पे आपके साथ वापस जुड़ जाएंगे, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, रहे या मिट्टी में मिल जाए, हम कभी वापस नहीं लौटेंगे, we will never come back together. So 5 years later, all that is forgotten.
Even as we speak, right there, we can see those visuals now coming where Tejasvi Yadav and Nitish Kumar are coming jointly to meet the governor. And if the camera could actually pan to get those first pictures, both of them jointly to meet the governor. The cavalcade that is now moving of Tejasvi and Nitish Kumar jointly present. They are carrying the letter of 160 plus MLAs in Bihar Assembly. They are going straight to the governor's residence. That's where the support letter will be given. This is a new path that is taking place, and this is happening with
Tejasvi and Nitish coming together. So that car that you can see, the cavalcade which is moving and now entering the Raj Bhavan in Patna, actually has Tejasvi and Nitish and of course other members of the alliance who are all going together inside the Raj Bhavan to now claim to form the next government. It's almost a repeat or deja vu,
let me just bring in Saurabh. He's closer to the visuals, Maria. So yes, Saurabh, can you take us through? Maria just showed us and we saw the visuals of Nitish and Tejasvi sitting in the same car. It's an electric car that that ferries Nitish in and around Patna, and it's where they were both seated together. Yes, Saurabh.
Nitish Kumar was accompanied by JDU President Lalan Singh, then going inside Raj Bhavan, and slowly all the vehicles are entering into Raj Bhavan. We saw the first vehicle of Nitish Kumar. He was accompanied by JDU President Lalan Singh.
Well, we got very poor audio with you, Saurabh. We got Maria with us and Siddhant with us. It's a heavy rush of supporters. And also, as the cavalcade has made its way in, the security bandobast is also very strict. So there are some network and bandwidth issues, but we've still been able to get you the pictures first here at CNN News 18. That's the cavalcade that's making its way in. Maria was talking us through the cavalcade. The JDU President Lalan Singh is also there with Nitish Kumar, and also Tejasvi Yadav is present in that cavalcade. That's the vehicle. That's the vehicle that has Nitish and Tejasvi as they reach Raj Bhavan in Patna. Yes, Maria, go ahead. I'm going to check with if Siddhant is also there with us. But Maria, this was that moment. They have entered together. The next step would be presenting a letter of support of 160 MLAs and then going forward to announce who's going to be leading them. So Nitish CM and Tejasvi Deputy CM, has it all been agreed now?
Yes, so the modalities is only something that will be announced. So perhaps when the new government takes shape, it will be just two of them taking oath. And as far as other members of this alliance or other MLAs, what will be the portfolio and all, that will be decided perhaps later. So the letter of support being given by Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav jointly. And as I said, Anand, this is a deja vu of 2017, when I was right here witnessing the power transition from Nitish Kumar walking out of alliance with Lalu Yadav and Mahagathbandhan, and within minutes, the new government was in a shape with BJP extending support. Now it is the same power transition that has happened with Nitish Kumar walking out of alliance, this time with the alliance partner of several years. He's walked out of NDA and has now stepped inside the Raj Bhavan to give that letter of support to the governor of Bihar, that he continues to be he has the numbers in terms of support of various political parties and can take oath as the next chief minister.
Siddhant is also with us. Siddhant, do we have any understanding or details of the understanding that's been reached? What has Nitish promised Tejasvi Yadav? Is there going to be a passing off on the baton sometime about 8 to 10 months down the line, where Nitish turns his focus nationally and Tejasvi sits on the hot seat as chief minister?
That there is going to be no problem as far as portfolio allocation is concerned. Also, the way Nitish Kumar came to meet Tejasvi Yadav sends out a strong message, Anand, that everything is all right between these two leaders. And in fact, we have also been told that Tejasvi is going to get Home Ministry. So if CM is sacrificing Home Ministry for Tejasvi Yadav, it in itself gives out a message that Nitish Kumar is eyeing Delhi. Nitish Kumar is going to be active in Delhi's politics, and Tejasvi Yadav will run the show here in Patna. A. B. Anand, it's a win-win situation for both the leaders, as Nitish Kumar wants to play the last innings of his political career by getting active in Delhi's politics after a long time. And in fact, he's one neutral face who can glue together the other opposition parties and can, in fact, this is what he and his supporters believe, that can be an opposition space for the PM selection. But at the same time, Anand, if that is going to happen in Delhi, then Tejasvi will run the show here in Patna. And along with this, Tejasvi is also getting the legacy of Nitish Kumar. So right now, there is only one leader who talks about social justice in Bihar, who comes from the socialist background, and that the name of that leader is Tejasvi Yadav. So it's a win-win situation for both the leaders because he's getting what he wanted: home ministry, more power in the government, more share in the government, and the DCM post. At the same time, the legacy of Nitish Kumar. So till now they were rivals. They fought against each other all throughout, but now they have come together because Nitish wants Delhi and Tejasvi wants Bihar. So it's a win-win situation for both the leaders. And in fact, in the photographs also which have been released, you can see Tejasvi and Tej Pratap walking ahead of Nitish Kumar. Those pictures clear it out that who is going to be the leader of this government. It's going to be Tejasvi Yadav, and it is very clear. And on these terms only,
very clearly it is Tejasvi Yadav. If you look at the pictures and the language, that Nitish is going to slowly move away, and it will be Tejasvi who will hog the limelight. And clearly, the communication is also that it will be an RJD-driven government in Bihar. And if Siddhant is saying that, as per the sources telling him, that Tejasvi is going to get the home ministry also, so clearly Nitish is ready in a way to hand over the baton in the near future. But he's all set to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Bihar for the 8th time. Maria, is that likely to happen sometime tomorrow? Because they have a cut-off date. Sawan ke 2 mahine, आखिरी 2 दिन है. 11 तारीख से पहले they have to finish all of this, because otherwise they enter into a very, very inauspicious phase.
Yes, I don't think so. They will be waiting even for a minute, because they understand that the BJP is certainly waiting and watching. So they would not be, leaving anything to chance.
Their side, the letter of support has been extended already. So it is a matter of taking oath now. So Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav will perhaps take oath in the next 24 hours. I won't be surprised if it happens today itself, because they would be communicating to the governor that he has the numbers. So he can, and he is the head of the Mahagathbandhan, because as the head and the face of Mahagathbandhan, he addressed the alliance partners some time back. But let me give you a sense of where I am. And this is just, it's that euphoria that you see when the actual power transition happens. These are, RJD workers and also workers of the JDU who are carrying those photographs and also banners, the flag of JDU as well. Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav are inside the Raj Bhavan to meet the governor. They are, of course, giving the letter of support. So when is the governor actually inviting them to take the oath is something that we'll get a confirmation from Raj Bhavan in perhaps some time. But in another 5-10 minutes, we can expect both of them to leave the governor's residence and head back to the respective.
We've got poor network coming across through, so some of the visuals may be a little deferred and not live, ladies and gentlemen. But I've got Sandeep Ghosh with me, and Arun Anand should also be joining us. Sandeep Ghosh, political commentator, Arun Anand, author and columnist. Namaste, gentlemen. So Sandeep Ghosh, Nitish has done it again. Now, does this man, if he harbors national ambitions, will he hold any credibility or credence? Will anybody trust him?
Anand, you've been harping on the fact that he is taking oath for the 8th time as Chief Minister. It reminds me of that old joke about Elizabeth Taylor's 8th husband, who knew what was to be done, but his challenge would be how to make it interesting. Because if he's really, it's Tejasvi Yadav who's calling the shots from behind, what does Nitish really do? And the last point which you made is ironic, that Tejasvi Yadav was going to get home ministry from the leader of the party, which was infamous for bringing Jungle Raj into Bihar, which apparently Nitish had demolished to, stake his claim of Sushashat Bihar, getting law and order back. Now, Tejasvi Yadav gets home ministry back, and so it's life comes full circle. Now, what Maria says is absolutely true. He's trying to extend his sell-by date in politics. But how far he'll succeed, if you see 2014 also, Nitish played his cards close to his chest because he thought Modi is not going to get the absolute majority, and at that point in time too, he thought he will become the opposition's consensus candidate. So he didn't therefore align with NDA. He's trying to do the same, play the same card now, and only time will tell how it goes. And as far as BJP is concerned, I think BJP is very clear that in most of these states, they will ultimately have to go it alone. And so they are, even if they are out of power, as Maria was saying, that they will be the largest opposition party. They'll try to consolidate their position. Only problem with them is the caste card, how they're going to get that caste configuration right, because they really don't have a strong Bihar-based leader. But I think BJP is willing to take that chance and use these 2 years or 1.5 years left for 2019 to consolidate. As far as 2000.
Where does that leave the JDU in itself, Arun Anand? Because the JDU is the number 3 party today. And do you not see fissures brewing within the JDU? Because there'll be many who would not be happy with going back with the MJB. They may all be quiet right now, but do you feel Nitish's position weakening further? Could there be an exodus of 15, 20, 25 MLAs? Not that it's going to bother the MGB, but the fact is that this is going to further split and divide the JDU and diffuse it.
Anand, I think what we are witnessing right now is there might be a change of the government, but this is the last phase of Janata Dal United. And I think in next few years it is not going to be there, because Nitish is already, 71. There is no other leader, and the party doesn't have an ideological framework. As we have seen that he has changed, sides 5 times over the last few years just to form the government. So this is actually what we are witnessing right now. Is actually the inner dynamics of a party and the inner contradictions of a party. This decision of Nitish Kumar to leave BJP and to form a government with the JDU, with the RJD and Congress. So it's actually outcome of this inner contradiction which is there in every party, which is bereft of ideology and which is driven by an individual. We have seen that in Maharashtra happening with Shiv Sena. We have seen that happening in Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh. So this is the end game for Janata Dal United. They might be able to form the government right now, but it's the last phase for them, I think.
So you say you're hearing wo kehte hain that a candle burns brightest before it's going to go out. So is that a kind of scenario that we are seeing? We'll talk more on that. What happens with the JDU? What happens with RJD? What happens with the BJP? And also, is there somebody who's going to take the Nitish Kumar narrative forward as far as the national face against Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Lok Sabha 2024? Plenty of questions, lots of drama on ground. We're going to take a very short break. Stay with us.